Assalamualaikum, my name is Iwani Syafiqah binti Waisa. So I will explain about introduction post-COVID supply chain optimization lesson learned and future strategy. The COVID-19 pandemic caused major disruption to global supply chain, affected logistics, manufacturing and international trade. Factory shutdown, port congestion, labor shortage and unstable demand exposed weakness in traditional lean and just-in-time supply chain models. During this period, supply chain priorities shift from cost efficiency to resilience and agility as inventory minimization become risky in an uncertain environment. Digital transformation also play a crucial role with the increased use of real-time tracking analytics and AI-driven systems to improve visibility and responsiveness. As a result, many organizations adopted strategies such as nearshoring, dual sourcing, and increased safety stock to build more resilient supply chain in the post-pandemic era. Next, there are several external forces reshaping supply chain. Geopolitical tension, especially involving countries like the US, China, and Russia with Ukraine, are creating uncertainty and trade disruption. At the same time, climate change and pressure to decarbonize are forcing companies to rethink how they source, transport, and produce goods. Because of this, ESG or environmental, social and governance along with worker welfare are becoming more important than ever. Next, consumer behavior is also evolving. People today expect supply chain to be ethical, resilient and sustainable. Many consumers are even willing to pay more if they know a product is produced responsibly. Lastly, we look at the future of supply chain optimization. Modern supply chain must be dynamic, adaptive, and transparent. Companies now focus on balancing cost resilience, sustainability, and responsiveness at the same time.
Hi everyone, now I'm going to talk about the difference between supply chain theories and what really happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. Many supply chains models look perfect on paper, but the pandemic showed us that reality is much complicated. I will explain 5 key areas where theory and practice did not match and what trend we see now. In theory, globalizations make supply chain cheaper and more efficient. Companies buy from one main supplier or one country to save costs. But during COVID-19, when countries like China and Italy shut down, many firms could not get material. This caused delay and even factory closures. The trend now is clear. Companies are moving towards supplier diversification and regional sourcing to reduce risk. Lean inventory and just-in-time system are designed to cut waste and reduce storage costs. They work well when demand is stable, but during the pandemic, demands for masks, sanitizers, and food suddenly spiked. Companies with lean system had no buffer stock, leading to shortage and unhappy customers. The new trend is a hybrid approach combining JIT with just-in-case safety stock. Technology theory says that tools like IoT, AI, and blockchain can give full visibility of supply chain. Large companies often manage this, but small and medium firms struggle. They lack money, skill, and system to adopt advanced technology. This created a digital divide. The trend now is that the big firms accelerate digitalizations while SMEs need support to catch up. For logistic flexibility versus real transport problem, theory tells us logistic networks are flexible and can scale quickly. Reality was different. During COVID-19, ports were congested, containers were missing, and borders were closed. Transport become rigid, not flexible. The current trend is investment in multimodal transport, nearshoring and digital freight platform to reduce bottlenecks. For forecasting theory and unpredictable demand, forecasting theory says past data can predict future demand. But during the pandemic, panic buying and sudden spike made traditional forecasting useless. AI and machine learning models prove more accurate in uncertain times. The trend now is adoption of AI-based forecasting to better manage volatility. To conclude, the pandemic showed us the supply chain theories are useful guide, but they are not enough during global crisis. Efficiencies alone is not sufficient. Companies now focus on resilience, flexibility, and digital tools, and viability. The lesson is clear. Supply chain must balance efficiency with adaptability to survive.
Supply chain theories are usually designed for stable situations where demand and supply are predictable. However, during COVID-19, lockdowns, factory closures, and movement restrictions happened at the same time. This made many supply chain theories difficult to apply in real life. First, globalization helps companies reduce costs, but during the pandemic, heavy dependence on one country or supplier increased supply chain risk when production stopped. Second, lean inventory and just-in-time system failed during the crisis because companies had no safety stock to handle sudden demand for essential items. Third, although technology theory promised better visibility, many companies, especially SMEs, could not fully adopt digital tools due to high cost and lack of skill. Next, logistics were not flexible as expected. Transport faced port congestion, border restriction, and container shortage causing serious delays. Lastly, traditional forecasting could not predict panic buying, leading to overstock and understock problems. In conclusion, COVID-19 showed that efficiency alone is not enough. Companies now need more resilience, flexibility, and better risk management in their supply chains.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Fitria Nushaira Basri. I will be explaining the problems that arise in post-COVID supply chain optimization. One major problem that became clear after COVID-19 was the heavy reliance on global suppliers. Many companies focus on cost efficiency and depend on a small number of overseas suppliers using just-in-time system. When the supply regions went into lockdown, production and transportation were disrupted, leading to shortage and long delays. This showed that supply chains were fragile and lacked alternative sourcing or proper contingency planning. Another important issue was the breakdowns of social sustainability within supply chains. The pandemic exposed weaknesses in protecting workers' welfare, particularly in developing countries. Many workers experienced job losses or were forced to work in unsafe conditions without sufficient health protection. This highlighted how social responsibility was often overlooked in favor of cost and efficiency. The pandemic also revealed a lack of digital readiness in many organizations. A large number of companies still rely on manual processes and had limited visibility over their supply chains. This made communication slower and decision-making more difficult during disruptions. The situation emphasized the importance of digital tools, automation, and real-time data for improving supply chain responsiveness and resilience. Logistics and transportation systems were also severely affected. Border closures, container shortage, and transport cancellation caused major delays in the movement of goods. Shipping costs increased and delivery schedules became unpredictable, especially for manufacturing countries. This demonstrated how vulnerable global logistic networks are and the need for stronger and more reliable transportation systems. Another key challenge was the mismatch between supply and demand. Consumer behavior changed rapidly during the pandemic, with higher demand for essential and health-related products, while demand for other goods dropped sharply. Traditional forecasting and inventory systems struggled to respond to these sudden changes, resulting in shortage of essential items and excess stock of low-demand products. Lastly, the pandemic exposed the rigidity of centralized production structures. Many industries concentrated concentrated production in only a few regions or countries. When factories in these regions shut down, global production was disrupted. This highlighted the need for more diversified and flexible production system to reduce risk and improve supply chain resilience.
Hi, good day everyone. I'm Kavita. Today I will be covering on future impact of post-COVID supply chain management. After COVID-19, supply chain management has shifted from being mainly cost focused to becoming more resilient and risk aware. Companies now balance just-in-time and just-in-case inventory systems, keep buffer stock and improve contingency planning so they can respond better to disruptions. Another important change is supplier diversification and regionalization. Businesses are reducing their dependence on single country sourcing by using multiple sourcing, nearshoring, and regional supply networks. This helps lower the risk of disruptions caused by geopolitical issues for future pandemics. Finally, digital transformation is no longer optional. Companies are increasingly adopting technologies like AI, IoT, blockchain, and real-time tracking to improve visibility, forecasting, accuracy, and decision making. With support from governments and industries, even small and medium-sized enterprises are moving towards digital supply chain. Moving on to smarter forecasting and data analytics, post-COVID supply chains are moving away from traditional forecasting methods towards AI-based and predictive analytics. These advanced models allow companies to respond more quickly to volatile demand and sudden changes in consumer behavior. By using real-time data, businesses can reduce overstocking and stockouts, which helps lower operational costs and improve overall efficiency. Sustainable and human-centric supply chains. Another important future impact is the growth focus on sustainable and human-centric supply chains. Companies are placing greater emphasis on worker welfare, safety, and social sustainability. At the same time, environmental, social, and governance practices are being integrated into supply chain decisions. The long-term goal is to build supply chains that are not only efficient but also ethical, sustainable, and competitive. In conclusion, COVID-19 showed that traditional supply chain models were not strong enough. The future of supply chains depends on resilience, digital transformation, and sustainability. By adopting flexible and responsible strategies, businesses can better handle future disruption and achieve long-term success. That's all from me. Thank you.